My aunt threw a wine glass and had a screaming meltdown at Thanksgiving because I didn't tell her about my pregnancy before announcing it to the whole family. So I announced her biggest secret. My husband Wesley and I found out I was pregnant in early October after trying for almost 3 years. We were overjoyed and terrified because I'd had a miscarriage the winter before that gutted both of us. My doctor recommended waiting until after 12 weeks to tell people, so Thanksgiving was perfect timing. I'd be at 14 weeks and the whole family gathers every year. I only told my sister Claire and my cousin Jason, who'd checked on me every week since the miscarriage. They promised not to breathe a word and they kept it. My Aunt Marlene is my mom's older sister and she has appointed herself the boss of this entire family. She physically cannot let anyone else be the one to share news. When I got engaged, she posted it on Facebook an hour after I told her, with a photo swiped off my private page before I could tell my grandmother. When we bought our house, she put it in the family group chat before I could say a word. She always says she's just so excited she can't help herself, but it was never about excitement. It was about holding the information. So this time, Wesley and I agreed we wouldn't tell her a thing until we told everyone at once. There's one more piece you need to understand. For the last several years, Marlene has been my grandmother's caretaker. Grandma Ruth is 83 and still lives in her own house, and Marlene handles everything for her, the appointments, the groceries, and especially the money. She set up the bill payments and manages the accounts, all of it taken over after Grandpa died. My mom used to call her a saint for taking on so much, and Marlene lived for the credit. Everyone treated her like the glue that held the family together. Keep that in mind, because it matters. Thanksgiving was at my parents' house that year instead of Marlene's, which I think had her in a mood. After dinner, I stood up and said we were expecting, due in May. The room erupted. Claire was crying. My mom had her hands over her mouth. Grandma Ruth started clapping. Everyone was hugging us, except Marlene, who sat there with her jaw tight, then started crying the angry kind. She asked how long I'd known, and I said about 6 weeks, and she lost it. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor and screamed that I was supposed to tell her first, that she holds this family together, that I'd gone behind her back like she was nobody. My dad told her to sit down and be happy for me. She said, how could she, when I deliberately humiliated her by making her the last to know. Wesley calmly said we just wanted to wait until we were past the danger zone because of what happened last time. Marlene said that was a ridiculous excuse, that I just wanted to make her feel small. And then she said the words, real family tells each other everything immediately. She said, that's what loyalty is. The irony was almost too much, but nobody in the room knew yet why. My sister Claire finally snapped and said, maybe if you could keep a single thing to yourself for once in your life, people would actually tell you things. And that was when Marlene grabbed her wine glass and threw it at the wall. It shattered everywhere. Claire's 4-year-old burst into tears. Grandma Ruth lynched so hard she dropped her fork. My uncle Keith jumped up and tried to get her to leave, but she refused, said she wasn't leaving until I apologized. I said I wasn't apologizing for protecting my own announcement after what I'd been through. She called me ungrateful and selfish and said she was done with me and started shoving the serving dishes she'd brought into her bags to make a point. And while she stood there packing up her Tupperware and lecturing the room about loyalty, something in me went cold and steady. I stood up and said, if we're all sharing everything now, like real family, then everyone here should know that Aunt Marlene has been taking money out of Grandma's accounts for the last 2 years. Keith froze with his coat half on. Marlene went the color of the tablecloth. The room went completely silent because Keith didn't know. He'd been trusting their finances were fine, that his wife had everything handled, and I watched the floor drop out from under him in real time. Grandma Ruth looked around and asked, in a small confused voice, what did I mean? Was her money gone? Keith set the dish down very slowly, grabbed his keys off the counter, and walked straight out the door, Marlene running after him, screaming his name into the driveway. Click here to watch part 2 of the story. Part 2.